The first transmission came on a Tuesday morning, crackling through our deep space monitoring station like static from a dying radio. I was sipping coffee that tasted like burnt rubber when the alert chimed, and everything changed. Unknown signal detected, Sector 7 Alpha, announced Lieutenant Shun, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. It's not natural, Commander. I set down my mug and walked over to the main console. The waveform pulsed in perfect mathematical intervals. Too perfect, too deliberate. This wasn't cosmic background radiation or a pulsar. This was intelligent. How long until we can decode it? I asked. Already working on it, sir. Chin's brow furrowed as symbols began materializing on her screen. The pattern is complex, but there's definitely structure here. Give me 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes stretched like hours. I'd been commanding Deep Space Monitoring Station Hermes for 3 years, and in all that time, we detected nothing more exciting than asteroid fragments and the occasional rogue comet. Now, staring at those alien symbols, I felt the weight of history pressing down on my shoulders. First contact, the moment humanity had dreamed of for centuries. Got it, Chen announced, her voice tight with excitement and fear. It's a message, Commander, and it's directed at us. The translation appeared on the main screen, each word burning itself into my memory. Greetings, primitive species of the third orbital body. We are the hegemony of United Worlds, representatives of 47 civilized species across this galactic arm. Your recent electromagnetic emissions have been detected and cataloged. You will prepare for integration into our collective. Resistance is futile. Compliance is mandatory. We arrive in 96 of your rotational periods. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. 96 days. They were giving us 96 days to surrender. Sir, Chen whispered, there's more. Additional data streamed across the screen. Star charts, fleet compositions, technological specifications. The hegemony wasn't just making threats. They were showing us exactly what we'd be facing. Hundreds of ships, each one dwarfing our largest space stations. Energy weapons that can glass entire continents. Shields that could withstand anything in our nuclear arsenal. They wanted us to see our own helplessness. Give me a direct line to Earth Command, which I ordered. Priority Alpha. The next 96 days transformed our world, not through panic or chaos, but through something uniquely human. Stubborn, brilliant, relentless determination. Within hours of the transmission, every major government had been briefed. Within days, the United Earth Defense Initiative was formed. Not through lengthy negotiations or political maneuvering, but through a simple recognition that extinction was the only alternative to cooperation. I was reassigned to Luna Base, humanity's primary military installation on the moon. The base had been expanded frantically, its underground facilities now housing the greatest collection of human ingenuity ever assembled. Scientists, engineers, military strategists, and manufacturers worked around the clock, driven by a single, burning question. How do you fight gods? Dr. Sarah Martinez led the xenobiology team, a brilliant woman who'd spent her career studying extremophiles, organisms that thrived in conditions that would kill almost everything else. The hegemony's message tells us everything we need to know, she explained during our first strategy meeting. They see us as primitive. They expect compliance. They've never encountered a species that didn't surrender immediately. What's your point? Asked General Harrison, our military commander. My point is that they've never faced humans. They don't understand what we are. She pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's history. Volcanic eruptions, ice ages, mass extinctions, plagues, wars. Every other species they've encountered evolved on stable worlds with predictable environments. Look at their technology. It's powerful but rigid, designed for known variables. They've never had to adapt to chaos. And we have, I said, understanding dawning. We're not just from a death world, Martinez continued. We're from a world that tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. We didn't just survive, we thrived. We learned to turn every disaster into an opportunity. The room buzzed with new energy. For the first time since receiving the transmission, I felt something other than dread. The Hegemony fleet arrived exactly on schedule, 96 days later. Their ships filled the sky like a second moon, massive and gleaming, arranged in perfect geometric formations that spoke of absolute confidence. They didn't attack immediately. Instead, they broadcast another message. We have arrived. You will now designate your planetary representatives for integration ceremonies. Compliance protocols will begin immediately. Earth's response was transmitted on every frequency, in every language, broadcast from every communication satellite we had. This is Admiral Rebecca Stone, speaking for the United Earth Defense Initiative. We have received your ultimatum and considered your terms. Our response is simple: no. The silence that followed lasted exactly 37 seconds. Then came the reply. Clarification required. Species 7832, a designation human. Your response is not within acceptable parameters. You will comply or face orbit bombardment. Negative, Hegemony fleet. This is Earth. We don't kneel. What happened next will be studied by military strategists for centuries. The Hegemony, faced with unprecedented defiance, did exactly what their rigid protocols demanded. They began a systematic bombardment of major population centers. But the cities they targeted were empty. Every major metropolitan area on Earth had been evacuated over the past 96 days, and their populations moved to vast underground complexes that had been constructed with frantic efficiency. The Hegemony's weapons scorched empty concrete and steel, accomplishing nothing but the destruction of abandoned buildings. Meanwhile, humanity's real response was already in motion. If you're enjoying this story of human determination, hit that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning of Earth's fight back. The beauty of Martinez's plan wasn't in what we built, but in what we didn't build. While the Hegemony expected us to develop new weapons or defensive systems, we did something they never anticipated. We studied them. Every transmission, every scan, every piece of data they'd sent was analyzed with the kind of obsessive attention to detail that only comes from desperation. We learned about their protocols, their language patterns, their technological signatures. Most importantly, we learned their weaknesses. The Hegemony's greatest strength was also their fatal flaw: uniformity. 47 species, all integrated into a single collective consciousness. They thought alike, acted alike, responded to threats in predictable patterns. They were a machine, powerful, efficient, and absolutely rigid. Humans, on the other hand, were chaos incarnate. Lieutenant Shun, now promoted to commander and leading our cyber warfare division, had spent weeks studying their communication protocols. Their entire fleet operates on a shared network, she explained. Every ship is connected to every other ship, sharing data in real time. It makes them incredibly coordinated. But, I prompted, but it also means one infected node can potentially corrupt the entire system. They've never had to deal with computer viruses because none of their member species were crazy enough to develop them. We were. The virus Chen's team created wasn't designed to destroy. It was designed to confuse. Rather than crashing their systems, it introduced tiny delays in their communication network. A microsecond here, a nanosecond there. Individually, these delays were meaningless. Collectively, they turned the Hegemony's greatest strength into a cascading failure. When their bombardment ceased, having accomplished nothing but the destruction of empty cities, and they moved to the next phase of their protocol, the virus was already spreading through their network. The first sign of trouble came when their perfect geometric formations began to drift. Ships that should have been maintaining precise distances started to lag behind or surge ahead. Their coordinated movements became increasingly erratic. Then came the communications breakdown. Fleet Command, this is Vanguard 7. We are experiencing navigation anomalies. Vanguard 7, Fleet Command. Your position appears unclear. Please adjust to Formation Delta 7. Fleet Command, we are already in Formation Delta 7. Repeat, we are in correct position. Negative, Vanguard 7. Our sensors indicate you are 3,000 kilometers off position. The argument continued for nearly an hour, with both sides absolutely certain they were correct. Similar conversations were erupting across their entire fleet as the virus systematically degraded their ability to coordinate. But we weren't finished. Phase 2 began at 0800 hours, Earth Standard Time. While the Hegemony fleet struggled with their compromised network, human forces emerged from hidden facilities across the globe. We didn't have ships that could match theirs in space, so we didn't fight them in space. Instead, we did something no other species had ever attempted. We brought them down to our level. The electromagnetic pulse weapons we developed over the past 96 days weren't designed to destroy their ships. They were designed to disable their anti-grav systems. One by one, Hegemony vessels began falling out of the sky, crashing into Earth's oceans and remote wilderness areas. And there, on the ground, in the mud and chaos of Earth's surface, humanity finally had the advantage. The first boarding action took place in the Pacific Ocean, where a massive Hegemony cruiser crashed in relatively shallow water. The aliens inside were alive but disoriented, their perfect technology useless in the chaotic environment they'd never been designed to handle. What they found waiting for them was a species they didn't understand. Humans in scuba gear, emerging from the ocean like primordial nightmares, armed with weapons that shouldn't have been able to penetrate their armor, but somehow did. The secret was elegantly simple. Dr. Martinez had realized that the Hegemony's protective systems were designed to defend against energy weapons and high-tech projectiles. They'd never considered that someone might attack them with sharpened steel and kinetic force, weapons so primitive that their shields didn't even recognize them as threats. Human soldiers, armed with modified harpoons and riding underwater vehicles, swarmed the downed vessel. The aliens inside, bred for perfection and raised in sterile environments, had never experienced anything like it. They surrendered within hours. If you're amazed by humanity's ingenuity, smash that like button, because the best is yet to come. The interrogation of the captured Hegemony forces revealed the truth we'd suspected. They'd never encountered genuine resistance before. Every species they'd integrated had surrendered immediately upon seeing their fleet. The concept of a species choosing to fight rather than submit was literally incomprehensible to them. You cannot win, the lead alien insisted through her translation device. Its name was an unpronounceable series of harmonics, so we simply called it Commander. We have 47 worlds, billions of beings, thousands of ships, and we have one world, I replied. One species, and we're still here. The commander's 4 eyes blinked in a pattern that our xenobiologist had identified as confusion. Your resistance is inefficient. You cannot hope to achieve victory through conventional military action. Who said anything about conventional? Martinez interjected. She'd been studying the aliens' biology for days, and her excitement was palpable. Tell me, Commander, how many of your member species have ever faced a pandemic? The alien silence was answer enough. I thought so, Martinez continued. Perfect hygiene, sterile environments, immune systems that have never had to deal with Earth's microbial life. Commander, you and your crew have been breathing our air for 3 days now. Our atmosphere is full of microorganisms that your bodies have never encountered. The commander's skin began to shift color. What we'd learned was their species' equivalent of turning pale. Don't worry, Martinez said quickly. We're not trying to kill you. But every single member of your crew is now carrying Earth bacteria back to your fleet. Your medical systems won't recognize them as threats because they're not harmful to you. They're just foreign, new, different. What are you saying? The commander demanded. I'm saying that your perfect collective is about to experience something it's never faced before: diversity. Earth's microbiome is now part of your ecosystem. In a few weeks, your entire fleet will be carrying millions of different strains of Earth bacteria. Your bodies will adapt, your immune systems will strengthen, and your perfect uniformity will be broken forever. The implications hit the commander like a physical blow. You have made us impure. We've made you stronger, Martinez corrected. But more importantly, we've made you different. Every ship in your fleet will now have a slightly different microbial signature. Your collective consciousness depends on absolute biological uniformity. We've just introduced chaos into your system. The end came not with a bang, but with a whisper. Over the following weeks, the Hegemony fleet began to fragment. Ships that had operated in perfect synchronization for centuries suddenly found themselves thinking independently. The alien collective consciousness, dependent on absolute biological and technological uniformity, couldn't cope with the introduction of Earth's chaotic diversity. Some ships fled, their crew overcome the unprecedented experience of individual thought. Others landed peacefully, their inhabitants curious about the world that had changed them so fundamentally. A few attempted to continue the bombardment, but their hearts weren't in it. How could they destroy the source of their newfound individuality? The formal surrender came exactly 6 months after their arrival. The message was simple. This is Fleet Commander ZYX, 4471 of the former Hegemony Expeditionary Force. I request terms for peaceful coexistence. We have much to learn from your species. The peace negotiations were unlike anything in human history. Not between nations or cultures, but between fundamentally different ways of existing. The aliens who had come to integrate us into their collective instead found themselves integrated into something far more complex. The beautiful, chaotic, wonderful mess of individual consciousness. Some of them chose to return to Hegemony space, carrying with them the seeds of change that would eventually transform their entire civilization. Others remained on Earth, becoming the first truly alien citizens of our world. Dr. Martinez was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her work in xenobiology. Commander Chun received the Congressional Medal of Honor for her cyber warfare innovations. General Harrison was promoted to head the new United Earthspace Command. As for me, I kept my old job at the monitoring station, now expanded into humanity's first interstellar communication hub. Every day, I listened to the signals coming in from across the galaxy. Not threats or ultimatums, but messages of greeting, requests for trade, and invitations to join a new kind of collective. One based not on uniformity, but on the strength that comes from diversity. The Hegemony had been right about one thing. Resistance had been futile, but they'd misunderstood what kind of resistance we were offering. We hadn't resisted their integration, we'd integrated them into us. And in doing so, we taught the galaxy a lesson that would echo across the stars for generations to come. Never underestimate a species that learned to thrive in chaos. What's your favorite part of this story? Was it the cyber warfare, the biological tactics, or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing your thoughts on these human triumph stories. Today, when I look up at the stars, I no longer see them as distant lights in the darkness. I see them as neighbors, as friends, as partners in the grand experiment of consciousness that we call life. The universe is vast and full of wonders, and humanity has taken its first steps into that larger community. But we've done it on our own terms, carrying with us the gift that Earth gave us, the strength to find opportunity in chaos, hope in desperation, and unity in diversity. The Iron Compact, the alliance of formerly Hegemony worlds that now governs our local galactic region, is something new in the universe. Not a collective consciousness, but a collective diversity. 47 species, each thinking their own thoughts, making their own choices, but working together toward common goals. And at the center of it all is a small blue world that refused to kneel, and in doing so, taught the galaxy how to stand. The stars are calling, and humanity is ready to answer, not as conquerors or subjects, but as the chaotic, brilliant, stubborn species that turned first contact into first friendship. Welcome to the galaxy, Earth. We've been waiting for you.